soalan yang sama suka pada pagi ini ya, tuan-tuan dan puan. Kita rasa amat-amat bertuah dan tadi sedikit banyak dan lagi ringkasan gaya bertuah yang ada saya cukup dengan banyak lah. Jadi bukan salah-salah orang yang sama suka pada pagi ini ya, tuan-tuan dan puan. Kita rasa
Datin Hamidah, Timbalan Sektor Pembelajaran, kerana kesempatan ini untuk berkongsi pengalaman kepada anda semua. Dan saya juga berterima kasih kepada rakan DTP Aman saya dekat PPD Kota Star, my colleagues PLT dan OE, oleh kerana telah memberi kepercayaan lah kepada saya pada pagi ini untuk berkongsi pengalaman saya sebagai pendidik semasa saya di Kementerian Pelajaran dahulu. Jadi tajuk ini merupakan satu tajuk yang sangat-sangat dekat dengan hati saya, very very close to my heart. Dan walaupun saya dah bersara, saya masih lagi banyak bercakap tentang tajuk ini selepas saya bersara dahulu di Sarawak. Dan I'm honoured pada pagi ini berkongsi pengalaman saya kepada anda. Jadi sesi ini lebih kepada refleksi saya sebagai pendidik dahulu, dan juga perkongsian, ya. Apa yang saya amalkan sebagai seorang pengetua dahulu, dan mungkin ada sedikit cadangan yang akan saya beri kepada anda. Okay, can I go to the next slide? The third one. So, ini daripada hati ya. Saya sangat suka dengan this quotation yang bermaksud pemimpin sekolah merupakan faktor yang beri impak kepada kemejadian murid. Walau bagaimanapun, faktor pemimpin sekolah adalah yang kedua saja selepas guru, kualiti pembelajaran. Second only to the influence of teachers in the classroom. So dua ini merupakan faktor yang sangat-sangat penting di sekolah, ya. Dan kita sebagai pemimpin sekolah merupakan faktor yang kedua, ya. Now seterusnya, sekolah merupakan satu komuniti pembelajaran. Ini sangat-sangat penting. Sebagai satu komuniti pembelajaran, dia bermakna bukan sahaja murid yang menjadi pembelajar. Kita sebagai cikgu dan lebih-lebih lagi kita sebagai pengetua merupakan pembelajar utama. We are lead learners. Ya, we are lead learners. So kita perlu ingat bahawa dalam kerjaya kita sebagai pengetua ataupun guru besar, kita merupakan pembelajar. We are learners. Dan apabila kita lihat diri kita sebagai pembelajar, then everything will be in its place. Yeah. So remember, the learners are not only the students. The learners are teachers and the principal as well. Yeah. Now, seterusnya, sebagai peringatan kepada kita sebagai pendidik, the 4 pillars of education daripada UNESCO ini sebagai peringatan sahaja. The first one is learning to know. Learning to know. Learning tahu ini berlaku di sekolah, dan learning to do sangat penting. Ini kadang-kadang ada, kadang-kadang tidak. Dan tudu ini ialah sangat penting di sekolah, di mana kita memastikan pelajar kita buat. They are doing. Now, yang ketiga, learning to be, ini sedikit suka being. Yang being ni ya lebih suka, ya. But this is something yang kita perlu pastikan di sekolah, dalam kalangan pelajar kita, perkara ini berlaku. They are being kind, being resourceful, ya. Yang keempat ialah learning to live with others. Jadi yang ini juga sangat penting untuk pelajar-pelajar kita, bukan sahaja sewaktu mereka di dalam bilik darjah ataupun di sekolah, mereka perlu ini di dalam community. Okey. Seterusnya, sebagai pengetua, kita perlu faham bahawa we do not know everything. Kita di sekolah dan ketua di sekolah tidak bermaksud kita tahu segalanya. Ya. And Keanu Reeves, dia mengatakan, you learn nothing from life if you think you are right all the time. So ini adalah satu perkara yang boleh berlaku dalam kalangan kita sebagai ketua di sekolah. We tend to think that we know everything, and it is wrong. When we think that we know everything or we right all the time, it is not proper. So be aware that we are not right all the time. Sometimes our teachers know better than us. Sometimes pelajar juga mereka lebih tahu daripada kita. Yeah, just remember, we don't know everything, and we are not we are not right all the time. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. The next slide. So ini berkaitan dengan pembelajaran, learning. Dan sebagai ketua, seperti yang saya kata tadi, it includes us, kita sendiri. But then it is not easy for teachers, lebih-lebih lagi kita sebagai pengetua, untuk melihat diri kita sebagai pembelajar. Me, learning, I've been doing this for like forever. I know everything. So that kind of situation is not good in the sense that we stop learning. Be mindset. Growth mindset, maksud mindset kita sentiasa tahu bahawa every day is a learning experience. Every day is a learning opportunity. Dan sebagai pengetua ataupun guru besar, kita menganggap diri kita sebagai lead learner, sebagai seorang pembelajar yang leading others. You will lead others. Mereka kena lihat kita sebagai, they need to know we are a learner and how. Sometimes it is from the way we speak, we share with them what we have learned from books, for instance. Mereka perlu lihat kita sebagai reader. They must look at us and know we read books. And this is important. Yeah. Then, sebagai pengetua, sebagai guru besar, amat perlu untuk kita self-educate. Kena resourceful, kena belajar sendiri. Self-education ni sangat-sangat penting, sebab kalau kita tunggu orang atasan untuk memberi ilmu dan sebagainya, mungkin tidak tepat kepada masanya. There are times we need something. So we need to learn ourselves. Even though usia kita dah 40 tahun, 60 tahun, perlu belajar. we need to self-educate. That means explore. Nowadays, we explore the internet, for instance, refer to Mr. Google a lot. Yeah. So, kepimpinan dan pembelajaran ini, dia sangat-sangat saling what would you say, indispensable to each other, bergantung kepada each other. Learning and leading, these two, they are indispensable, they go together, learning and also leading. Right, seterusnya kita faham bahawa tanggungjawab sebagai guru besar dan pengetua sangat-sangat rumit. So many things to be done in the school. Kata orang, 1,001 things to do. In a day, you will sit down and you would work, and at the end of the day, there's still a lot of work to be done. However, there are things that we need to remember. Sangat perlu untuk kita memastikan tanggungjawab yang berikut. Yang pertama ialah kita perlu mengajar. You don't have to teach 10 periods. Sekurang-kurangnya waktu, dan kalau boleh mengajar mata pelajaran yang kita sangat mahir. Teach something that you're good at. What I'm saying is that some of us, we tend to teach some subjects which are not very important. Yes, they're important, but they are not examined for UPSR or SPM or whatever. I would prefer that we teach something that is significant in terms of our expertise. Kalau saya sebab saya guru bahasa Inggeris, saya mengajar bahasa Inggeris. Dan saya tak mengajar bahasa Inggeris untuk tingkatan 2. Saya mengajar tingkatan 5 dan tingkatan 3 sebab saya tahu bahawa rakan guru saya, mereka perlu lihat saya sebagai seorang guru yang seperti mereka. I want them to know that I'm just like them. I'm passionate, I just want to teach, just like them. So, itu yang pertama. Yang kedua, kita perlu memberi prioriti kepada SKPMG 2. Ya, sebagai pengetua, kita perlu tahu standard 4. Standard 4 ni adalah berkaitan dengan teaching and learning. Dan kita sedia maklum bahawa faktor utama dalam impact kepada pembelajaran murid adalah teaching and learning. It's the quality of the teaching and learning. You probably have heard that the quality of the system cannot exceed the quality of the teaching. Maknanya the quality of the teaching merupakan faktor yang paling utama, yang bukan sistem. It is the teaching will determine the quality of the education system. Jadi standard 4 merupakan bukan sahaja penolong kanan kurikulum yang tahu tentang standard 4. Kita sebagai guru besar pengetua perlu tahu tentang standard 4. Dan di sekolah juga kita perlu merancang dan laksanakan CPD dan PLC. Sebab ini merupakan perkara yang penting di sekolah, di mana CPD dan PLC ini adalah peluang untuk guru-guru kita meningkatkan ilmu mereka, kemahiran mereka. So CPD perlu diutamakan, dan kita perlu tahu apakah jenis ataupun tajuk yang sangat penting. Dia penting dari segi needs guru. What are the teachers need? What are the needs that the teachers have in the school? How do we know they need more CPD on thinking skills, for example? How do we know the teachers need more CPD or PLC on AFL, assessment for learning, ataupun emotional environment. So these are things that we need to think about. Bukan saja we don't plug topics from the sky. They must be data driven. They must be data driven maksudnya daripada data yang sedia ada di sekolah, kita tahu apakah keperluan guru-guru. Dan planning ini, kalau di sekolah amanah, planning ini dibuat awal lagi. Sekarang pada bulan ni di sekolah amanah, contohlah, mereka dah tahu apakah CPD yang akan dilaksanakan pada tahun 2021. They already know, they got the data from interviews, they have the data from teaching and learning, and so on. And then they know what are the topics, what are the kemahiran yang perlu tingkatkan pada tahun berikut. Jadi that's very important. Now yang kedua, sebagai pengetua, kita perlu pastikan distributed leadership ini berlaku. Maksud dengan distributed leadership ialah pengetua guru besar perlu memastikan penolong kanan, semua penolong kanan dan guru kanan, at least they are keeping up with him in terms of leading. Maknanya kemahiran pemimpin perlu kita perlu melatih. We need to train our colleagues, our penolong kanan, train them in terms of leadership. So that is the meaning of distributed leadership. If we are good in, say for example, standard 4, we make sure the penolong kanan hal ehwal murid bukan sahaja mahir dalam aspek hal ehwal murid, he or she needs to be as good as us in terms of curriculum. I mean, standard 4, for instance. Standard 4 is important for all the penolong kanan to know, and they need to be able to observe lesson well, and they need to be able to give feedback to the teachers, feedback which would help the teachers to grow. Yeah. So that is the meaning of distributed leadership in terms of ensuring every leader in the school, not just the pengetua, but the penolong kanan and the guru kanan, they are good in terms of leadership. Now, perkara yang seterusnya adalah MMR, ya, instructional time. Now, instructional time ini ialah sangat penting. Sebagai guru besar dan pengetua, kita perlu pastikan instructional time is not wasted. In my case, we do ensure that teachers enter the classroom on time. Because if you do not pay attention to this, there will be teachers who will be late 15 minutes, 20 minit, ataupun setengah jam belum sampai di kelas. So instructional time is so important, and if you as a pengetua guru besar make it like everybody know that it is important, you find that the teachers, I know for my teachers, for example, before, they know because I'm very particular about instructional time, and I stand in a spot in the school where I can see the movement in the school. So the teachers tend to, apabila mereka pergi ke kelas, they don't waste time. Yeah. Now, sebagai pengetua, kita perlu coach penolong kanan kita dan guru kanan. Mungkin ada guru kanan yang belum lagi confident. So over the year, we need to coach them. Yeah. Dan oleh kerana people learn from sharing. Some people, they learn in different ways, so we need to know how to engage, how to support some of our colleagues in school, but they need to be coached. And this is one of the things that we need to do as a pengetua, as a guru besar. It's in standard 1. Now, satu lagi perkara yang pada saya sangat penting ialah kita menjadi co-learner dengan guru-guru kita, ya. And this is something which is important too, because there are some teachers in the school, they have their own speciality. They are good in certain things. So it is good. Kita perlu humble enough, go and learn from such teachers. Kalau boleh, contoh kita belajar bersama dengan guru kita ialah mengajar bersama dengan mereka. Yeah? Co-teach with the teacher. Because in co-teaching, we tend to pick up certain things from our colleagues that we find very useful. Yeah? Okay, right. Seterusnya, sebagai pengetua, sebagai guru besar, ini sangat perlu. Kita perlu tahu apakah isu-isu yang sangat basic di sekolah, is literacy, numeracy, dan juga berfikir. Dan I know di sekolah menengah, sebab saya di sekolah menengah dulu, murid, pelajar yang belum lagi, they cannot read. They cannot read. They are dyslexic. So for me, reading is something which I find to be so basic. And I find that I cannot be happy, I cannot be at peace if I know there are some students who cannot read. It is like their eyes are closed, shut, and everything is black to them. So I visited schools in Singapore, and I learned one thing from the school in Singapore, a project they call I Can Learn, ICL, I Can Learn. So when I got back to my school, I wanted students who cannot read to be able to read. So because they cannot read, I picked this book called Lady Bird. Lady Bird is a series used by some people to train young children, babies, they are babies even, to read. So kita menggunakan Lady Bird untuk mengajar pelajar yang tidak boleh membaca. We brought them into a room, and the whole day we taught them to read Lady Bird books. Because Lady Bird book, Peter and Jane, some of you know, the words are very, very big. So I felt very happy because children, they started to read. Imagine a child who is 12 years old, dia belum lagi dapat membaca. And then after 1 month, if you see that the child can read, you can imagine the joy. So all teachers in the school, we pastikan donate at least one of their free period masuk ke kelas ICL ini dan juga mengajar murid the students in the class to read. So for instance, at any one time you walk into the room, there are 4 or 5 teachers in the room, one-to-one, teaching the students to read. So we have students in Form 5, we have students in Form 4 who are there. Bayangkan pelajar tingkatan 5 yang belum dapat membaca. So if you ask me, one of the things that I left as a legacy di sekolah itu ialah kelas ICL ni. Even after I left the school, they are still getting students into that classroom and teach them to read the whole day, the whole week, the whole month, until we are satisfied that they can read. We keep them in the room. Then when we are happy they can read, we send them back to the class. So this is one basic thing that we need to look into, reading. Begitu juga dengan numeracy. So when we started, we only taught them to read. Years later, we also incorporated numeracy. Yeah, so very simple numeracy kepada pelajar-pelajar yang tak dapat membaca ni. And in fact, because my school was known for paying attention to such students, parents started to send the school to us because they know that this one school wants the student to learn basic reading. So one thing that struck me, I went to a school here in Kota Star, SK Alojanggus. The guru besar in Alojanggus, SK Alojanggus, is doing something similar. When I went to the school, I got so excited. I found a school in Kota Star paying a lot of attention to literacy. In fact, he asked me to sit down with a child in the school and then just to check whether the child can read. I have to say, phenomenal. Very, very good. So, saya ucapkan syabas kepada guru besar SK Alojanggus sebab projek membaca di sana merupakan satu projek yang sangat-sangat baik, excellent, brilliant. Jadi cikgu, seterusnya, there are a lot of things yang kita katakan sangat penting dalam kerja kita sebagai pengetua, tetapi it is very important for us to not pay lip service. Don't pay lip service. Kita perlu lakukan. Kita perlu laksanakan. Don't say reading is very important, but we don't do anything about it. Kita perlu laksanakan. Don't pay lip service. Yeah. Now, seterusnya, I would like to say my experience di sekolah setelah saya melawat sekolah-sekolah di Singapura. I used to look down on Singapore until I went to visit the schools. And apabila saya di sekolah-sekolah, melawat sekolah di Singapura, tak ada pengetua, tak ada guru besar yang bercakap tentang kehebatan mereka dalam arena curriculum academic. Nobody talked about how good they are in academic, even though we visited good schools, excellent schools. And I was taken aback. I was like, what? And you know what they're talking about? They talk about character building. All they talk about co-curricular activities. Dan apabila saya balik daripada lawatan, saya memikirkan bahawa it is important that we pay a lot of attention on character, building character. Yeah. So character building, kalau kita, for me, if I think about what did I learn when I was in Form 1. When I was in Form 1, I hardly can remember what I learned in the classroom. But what I remember are things like going for a picnic in the jungle. When the teacher took us for camping, when the teacher brought us into the jungle untuk mendapat kayu so that we can make our own hockey sticks. So these are things that I remember rather than what did I learn in science. So maksud saya, we need to pay a lot of attention on core curricular activities di sekolah. Sebab core curricular activities ini membangunkan personality murid kita, build their character. Yeah? Dan pada masa yang sama, kita perlu memberi peluang kepada student voice. Maksud dengan student voice ini ialah bukan suara pelajar yang cemerlang di sekolah. bukan pelajar yang menjadi pengawas di sekolah. Sebab mereka dah bagus. They are good. And we tend to give them more opportunities to grow and speak. What I'm saying is we need to hear the voice of the other students. Pelajar-pelajar yang lain yang tidak menonjol bakat mereka. Yeah? So think about the other students as well. We need to learn. We need to hear what they want to say. So the student voice group ini boleh difikirkan dari segi projek yang projects which are planned for students are not very active in school. We want to know what can they do. Are they good in dancing, for instance? Are they good in some other things? Yeah. So perhaps you can think of a day. In my school before, we have days for the Form 3 student, pelajar tingkatan 5, di mana apabila they come to school, they will be doing all sorts of activities like playing football, playing basketball, learning how to dance, learning how to paint faces, and so on. So this is something which I also learned when I visited schools in Singapore, yeah, where students, they know some things better than us. Perhaps out there are students who can teach us things like how to make pau, for instance. Yeah. Now, seterusnya, satu perkara yang kita perlu fikir ialah berkaitan dengan striking a balance. Di sini, we need to strike a balance di mana student kita perlu, in terms of, yes, academic is important. We want the GPS to be very good. But at the same time, we must remember the students are human beings. They need to grow as humans as well. Yeah. So there's a need to strike a balance between academic as well as co-curricular. So this will lead to holistic growth of our students, amongst our students. We want them to grow into people who are not just very good in terms of academic. Yeah? Seterusnya, it is peringatan kepada kita juga bahawa the only way to improve student achievement is to improve the instruction. Maksud dengan ini ialah PDP cikgu yang memberi impact kepada kemajadian murid. So we need to improve the instruction. But how do we know whether the teachers are teaching well? Ini bermakna we have to think about ways and means to ensure our presence in the school is felt. Our presence in the school is felt. Everybody in the school, even though they can't see us, they know we are in school. Yeah. Now, yang kedua ialah berkaitan dengan kualiti sistem pendidikan. Juga, the quality of the education system cannot exceed the quality of the. Maksud dia, kualiti guru kita yang menentukan kualiti sistem pendidikan. Ya, kualiti guru yang menentukan kualiti sistem pendidikan kita. Jadi, guru-guru sangat-sangat penting. Faktor guru sangat penting. Oleh kerana itu, kita perlu memikirkan apakah cara untuk memberi sokongan kepada cikgu. For me, as a pengetua, because I felt that it is important to know what is going on in the classroom. For months and years before I left my school, I sat in the classroom. Saya duduk di dalam kelas daripada pukul 7 sehingga pukul 1. I sat in the classroom. I chose to sit in 2 classrooms. One is a Form 5 class and another adalah tingkatan 3. Sebab saya pilih dua kelas ini ialah kerana saya mahu memastikan GP untuk kelas ini akan meningkat. So what do? I sit at the back of the classroom daripada awal, ya, the first lesson, cikgu datang, and then what do? I support the teacher. Ya, masa saya di dalam kelas itu, mula-mula cikgu, initially the teachers were not very comfortable, of course lah, because the pengetua is there. But over the months, they became used to my presence, and then they like it because they have no problem with discipline. No students dared to not finish their work because I was there. I ensure that the students finish the work. Dan pada masa yang sama, there are times I supported the teacher. I called, kalau bahasa Inggeris, no problem, I can teach. So I decided to explore how to teach sejarah, for instance, how to teach pendidikan moral with the teacher. So I was learning. I was not just sitting down there in the classroom. I was also learning how to teach pendidikan moral. And the teachers would approach me and they would give me the lesson plan, dan mereka minta saya lihat lesson plan dan memberi cadangan. So which I did. So I look at the lesson plan and then gave them cadangan untuk for improvement. Okay? Seterusnya, oleh kerana guru kita penting, kita perlu upscaling mereka. Mereka perlu melaksanakan professional learning community. Kalau bahasa Inggeris, mereka perlu PLC untuk memastikan mereka dapat mengatasi isu-isu tertentu. Katakan the students are weak in past tense, for instance. The teachers will have PLC on that. So how else do we upscale the teachers? One of the ways is to look at the lesson planning. Yeah? For me, I spend a lot of time looking at the lesson plans of the teachers. So, contoh daripada hari Jumaat is the last day of school, they will give the lesson plan. I will spend a lot of time looking through the lesson plans and then giving them feedback and asking questions. And then I will write the questions of the lesson plan, and I make sure the teachers would answer the questions I have asked. Yeah. So I normally spend my Fridays, Saturdays, and Sunday looking at lesson plans. So I liked it because that's the only way for me to know how I can support the teachers. Jadi I would know the teachers pay a lot of attention to the lesson planning because they know I read the lesson plan. And then every Monday, masa perhimpunan, when the lesson plans are returned to the teachers, I can see that the teachers are trying to find out siapa guru yang mendapat job stars. I have a star that a chop. So when I am very happy with lesson plans, I will put this particular chop on the first page. So of course, the human beings, they are just like students as well. They get excited when they see that the pengetua is giving stars. So every Monday, I know they are trying to find who else have gotten the stars from me. So this is good. Now, moving on, how do we know the teachers are delivering in the classroom? How do we know that they are teaching well in the classroom? Yeah. Do we know the teachers are in the classroom? Do we know they are really teaching or not? So one of the ways to do that is learning walks. Learning walks, as you know, is very, very important. This is when we know what is happening in the school. We can feel the pulse of the school. Apabila kita berjalan, it's good. Walking around the school is something that we all need to do as pengajar. And by walking around, it will be good to be more focused. You focus on certain things. Let's say today, you just want to find out whether the teachers have kebat questions or not. So when you walk around, you only spend about 3 to 5 minutes watching the teacher teach, and then you move on. And what I found to be quite exciting for teachers dahulu ialah apabila saya mendapati seorang guru yang telah melakukan sesuatu yang very impressive, I will write down I would take a piece of note, a paper, and I write it down and said, well done, I really like this particular question that you have. And then I ask the office boy to deliver it to the teacher. Yeah. So when we do learning walks, these learning walks will help us to know what are the teachers good in, what are the teachers weak in, and you would see whether the teachers need support in terms of learning objective, for example. Are the objectives clear, or ada tak dia punya kriteria kerjaan tu tepat? Sebab kriteria kerjaan ni sangat penting untuk guru, ya. Dan apabila kita membuat lawatan learning walk, kita boleh mendapati apakah aspek-aspek yang cikgu kita perlu support yang lebih, ya. Dan untuk cikgu kita juga di sekolah sebagai pengetua, akhir tahun, penghujung tahun, it is useful for us to conduct surveys, ya, surveys. Dan the next slide please. Focus interview. Next slide. Focus interview, maksud dengan focus interview ialah kita interview pelajar-pelajar kita tentang aspek yang tertentu. Katakan AFL. Kalau AFL yang we are concerned about AFL. So we do focus interviews on particular topics. Ya, the survey yang kita beri kepada pelajar dan cikgu juga, kita nak dapat data berkaitan dengan apakah yang berkesan semasa mengajar, apa yang murid-murid kita sangat-sangat suka dengan cara cikgu kita mengajar. Ada tak mereka suka dengan cooperative learning techniques? Cooperative learning techniques yang pada pelajar sangat-sangat berkesan. So we give as well. Apakah keperluan guru-guru? Mereka boleh antara aspek berikut, which one do you think you need more help in? So daripada survey ini kita dapat melihat apakah perkara aspek yang guru-guru kita perlu untuk ditingkatkan pada tahun-tahun yang berikut. Yeah. I don't want to talk about performance appraisal sebab ini adalah sesuatu yang kita perlu buat, but I want to talk more about lesson observation. Lesson observation sangat penting di sekolah, dan kalau dapat kita sebagai cikgu, pengetua ataupun guru besar, pastikan we observe guru-guru yang perlu more support. So non-performing teachers, guru-guru yang tidak performing, guru-guru yang cemerlang. So there are certain teachers that we pick and then kita observe the lessons so that they know that they know that it is something very serious. Yeah, very, very serious. It is serious. It's a serious matter that they need to improve the lesson. Kalau kita bagi kepada guru penolong kanan untuk cerap, mungkin mereka kata, I won't do it as well as because it's just a guru kanan. So for my experience, I pick all guru-guru yang not performing. I observe their lessons. Now, pada data analysis, kita boleh menggunakan data standard 4. Dari standard 4, kita dapat lihat apakah kompetensi yang bagus. Which of the competencies are the teachers good at? So from there, we will know what are the next steps. Apa yang mereka perlu? What are the areas they need? So when we know the data, barulah kita dapat merancang apakah CPD untuk tahun 2021, katakan. Ya? Jadi seterusnya, selain daripada faktor guru, teaching and learning, dan faktor pengetua, guru besar, faktor yang ketiga ialah ibu bapa. So we cannot but include parents and the community in the school. I know this is the most challenging of the factors in school, but I want to share with you, the last year saya di sekolah, I picked 2 classes again and work with the form teachers, dan saya cadangkan ibu bapa murid-murid pelajar dijemput ke sekolah pada waktu tertentu, and then they sat in the classroom. They sat in the classroom, but I did not pick guru yang lemah lah. I picked the excellent teachers. My best teacher was a chemistry teacher, for example. So I picked this particular teacher, and the parent of the student will come and observe the teacher teaching chemistry. The reason why I wanted to do this was because I wanted to acknowledge the teacher for her expertise. And then it is a way for us to hargai sebagai penghargaan kepada guru-guru kita. And then ibu bapa yang melihat cara guru itu mengajar sangat terpegun. I know the parents were so happy to see the experiment. Yeah. So persoalannya, how else can we engage the parents? So that they don't just come to school because of discipline problems. They need to come to school to see how good our teachers are in the classroom. Yeah. Right now, seterusnya di sekolah juga kita perlu membuat self-assessment, penilaian diri sekolah kita, and we must be sincere, authentic. Ya, authentic maksudnya we identify what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses. Dan weaknesses itu adalah perkara yang authentic. We don't pretend that things are good. Ya, we must be authentic when we do penilaian diri. So seterusnya sebagai just a reminder for us, we sebagai guru besar pengetua adalah pilihan, and pilihan kita ialah we choose to perform, dan we buat pilihan itu is a choice. The choice perform. You can choose not to perform, but of course we want to choose to perform. Dan refleksi saya juga berkaitan dengan balance task dan person ini, if I look back, if I were to become pengetua lagi, I would make sure I would not be a micro manager. I would balance task dengan human. Maksud di sini, I would make sure that I pay attention to the person, not too much of task. I have to say I was too much on task before. Too much on task, too much on doing, they must perform and all that. But I wasn't paying so much attention to the person. So if I were to give you an advice, this is it. Seterusnya, next, to be a pengetua, it is good for us to find people who can support us. It is very lonely, sangat lonely. It's very lonely to be a principal. For me, I found my tribe. Maksud find your tribe adalah rakan kita yang seperti dengan kita. Someone who is the same with us in terms of the way we think and the way we do things. Because among us, I am sad to say there are some of my colleagues who are not, they don't talk about professional things. They complain about so many things, about students and all that. I needed to find somebody who doesn't talk about those things, but rather think about professional things. Yeah. Next. Okay, the next slide. Now, this is something that inspired me as a pengetua. The author, Paulo Coelho, dia mengatakan, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. And I found this to be true, because you are so inspired that you will do all sorts of things to improve what you want to do. Seterusnya, sebagai pengetua, it is important for us to read a lot. Yeah, to read, constantly reading. The average CEO reads 60 books a year. Yeah? So important for us to read all the time. Next, it is also important for us to be humble and then be teachable. Be teachable. Have a growth mindset. Continue to learn. Keep learning every day. And become a relentless improver. Maksudnya kita tak berhenti apabila sesuatu tidak berjaya, kita dah berhenti, tak, we give up. We find another way around it. Yeah? Be a relentless improver. Jadi sebagai pengetua, it is not an easy thing to do. It is an impossible task. Kata orang, it's an impossible task. So many things that we need to do, but we need to keep going. Akhir sekali saya nak kongsikan cerita inilah. I like this cerita, Starfish Thrower. Yes, pada satu hari seorang yang tua lah, seorang tua seperti saya, dia berjalan di pantai pada satu pagi, it's very early in the morning, and then he looked far in the distance. There's a figure, and it looks like somebody is dancing. Ke tempat itu, dan it is not someone dancing, but it is actually a young man. This young man was throwing starfish. Yeah, starfish. There are thousands of starfish on the shore. He was throwing them back into the sea. So this old man, he looked at the young man and told him, "Young man, do you know that it is not, you are stupid to do that?" And the young man looked at him. He picked one fish and he threw it back into the sea. Then to the old man, he said, "It made a difference to that one." Jadi the old man dia balik ke rumah, malam itu dia tak dapat tidur, dia berfikir tentang apa yang man kata tadi. It made a difference to that one. Jadi the next morning he went back to the sea, to the beach. He saw the young man was still there, and he walked over, and then he started to throw starfishes back into the sea with the young man. Jadi, that's what I want to leave you with. The message is every day, whatever little that we do in the school, it makes a difference to the student. Dengan itu, saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada anda semua. Semoga anda successful sebagai pemimpin di sekolah masing-masing. Sekian.
Okey, terima kasih kepada Mr. Marcus di atas perkongsian tadi. Okey, kita masih ada masa, saya ingat dalam 10-15 ada di kalangan audiens kita pada hari ini yang ingin bertanyakan soalan, dipersilakan boleh tanya. Mungkin tekan ikon raise hand tu kan supaya nampak. Kemudian unmute dan boleh suarakan, boleh perkenalkan diri dan nyatakan soalan kepada Mr. Marcus.
Assalamualaikum, selamat pagi. Good morning to Mr. Marcus. Saya Cikgu Nur Ashikin. Saya ingin mengucapkan tahniah dan terima kasih kepada Mr. Marcus, dan saya sangat-sangat teruja dengan satu perkara yang Mr. Marcus telah buat, iaitu berada dalam kelas satu hari suntuk, iaitu daripada 7.30 pagi awal kelas pertama sehinggalah kelas yang terakhir. Bagaimanakah tadi ada Mr. Marcus ada bagi tahu bahawa memang tanggapan cikgu pada mulanya dia akan rasa rimas dan rasa macam tidak selesa. Bagaimanakah Cik Marcus mengatasi masalah itu di kalangan guru-guru pada permulaannya? Terima kasih.
Terima kasih atas soalan. I was aware. Saya sedar bahawa mereka tidak rasa selesa. Tetapi saya tidak memberi feedback yang boleh dianggap sebagai spoil their mood, for instance. So I was there, I pick certain things yang boleh memberi semangat kepada mereka dahululah. Saya abaikan perkara yang tidak baik, beri fokus kepada perkara yang kecil tetapi semangat. Ya, dan from time to time saya akan berdiri dan bergerak dalam kelas tu untuk memastikan pelajar selesa, dia comfortable, dan seterusnya saya membantu cikgu dari segi ulang. Saya ulangkan soalan yang saya fikir sangat baik, dan saya ulangkan soalan cikgu tu sebab saya fikir that's a good question. And I want the children to think. So, lama-kelamaan, I think the teachers they were very used to me in the classroom. They became very authentic in the classroom because they knew that I was there to support them.
Okey, baik. Terima kasih Cikgu Rasikin atas soalan tadi.
Terima kasih.
Okey, ada lagi soalan yang lain, mungkin 2 atau 3 soalan lagi. Masih ada masa. Sambil-sambil tu kita tolong isi link kehadiran. Link telah saya share sebentar tadi dalam message Google Meet Okey, tuan-tuan cuba klik link tu dan isi kehadiran dalam SPL. Jadi untuk hari ini kita dapat credit hours lah untuk SPL KPM. Okey, ada lagi soalan? Okey, baik. Ada mesej daripada rakan-rakan di USTP minta supaya semua tolong on kamera supaya kita boleh ambil gambar ramai-ramai perkongsian pada hari ini. Okay. Dan seperti yang saya sebut di awal tadi, perkongsian kita bukan setakat di Google Meet ni. Kalau tengok dalam Google Meet ni kita ada hampir 100 orang. Kita juga membuat live stream di YouTube lah. So live stream di YouTube saya tak pastilah berapa ramai yang ikut, nanti pegawai rakan-rakan di USTP akan kongsi lah kot. Jadi untuk perkongsian hari ni sebenarnya kita share satu dunia lah melalui YouTube. Okey, saya kira dah.
Itu.
Okey.
Okey, dah selesai untuk sesi bergambar.
Okey, terima kasih. Okey. Baiklah puan-puan, jika tiada sebarang soalan lagi sebelum kita berpisah pada pagi ini, sekali lagi saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih atas kesudian Mr. Marcus untuk berkongsi dengan kita. Untuk pengetahuan, perkongsian ini free of charge, FOC. Sebab kalau ikut rate beliau ni memang mahal lah, kita tak mampu nak bayar lah. Okey, dan terima kasih juga kepada tuan-tuan yang dapat bersama pada pagi ini. Semoga dapat sedikit sebanyak manfaat. Saya harap bukan sedikit lah, saya sebut tadi sedikit banyak, bukan sedikit tapi banyak manfaat. Okey, dan saya ucapkan juga terima kasih kepada rakan-rakan PLT, DTP Aman. Okey, terima kasih atas sokongan. PPD tadi kalau kita tengok Tuan Saadul pun sempat bersama kita. Okey, lama juga tu beliau bersama dah. Okey, Datin, Hamidah, terima kasih. Dan last but not least, rakan-rakan setia kita yang berada di PKJ Langap pada pagi ini, host kita daripada USTP PPD Kota